Hear PGA and LPGA legends, pros, top instructors and media members from around the country sharing their stories, insights and playing lessons every week right here on Next on the Tee. Take it away, Chris.
All right, now back with me here on the French Lick Resort guest line is Nick O'Hearn. Let me remind you about Nick's background. He is from Perth, Western Australia. He grew up playing baseball, tennis, and golf, turned pro back in 1994. He qualified for the European Tour on his first attempt through Q School back in 1998, and he played on the European Tour from 1999 to 2007, where he finished runner-up 7 times in between 2003 and 2007. In 2004, he earned his way into the top 50 in the world golf rankings, finishing 45th that year. The following year in 2005, he shot all the way up to number 24 and was a member of the international team at the President's Cup, where he helped earn 2 points when he and countryman Peter Leonard defeated Davis Love and Kenny Perry in the Friday matches. And on Saturday, he paired with Tim Clark, and they defeated Fred Funk and David Toms. 2006, he reached 21st in the world rankings, and he won the Australian PGA Championship when he holed out, oh, by the way, from a greenside bunker to birdie the 4th playoff hole to defeat, unfortunately, his international teammate, Peter Leonard. That season, he also had the best finish in a major, tying for 6th at the U.S. Open, and he won the Australasia Order of Merit. Nick is the only player to defeat Tiger Woods in the World Golf Match Play event. He did it twice in 2005 and 2007. He's written a wonderful book called Tour Mentality, Inside the Mind of a Tour Pro, which you can find out on Amazon.com, and I am honored that he is back with me again tonight here on Next on the Tee. Good evening, Nick. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
So, Nick, want to get your thoughts. We got a lot of rules changes coming our way in January, and I saw your tweet where you said your favorite of those changes is caddies will no longer be allowed to assist in alignment. Curious to get your thoughts. Why is that your favorite one?
There's a bunch of them that I think are my favorites, but that one just kind of caught my eye. It always fascinates me when a caddie's standing there lining their own player up. I'm thinking, well, if you can't line yourself up, you shouldn't be playing this game. Back from when I was a kid as a junior, it was all about how you were able to figure out how to play the game, get the ball in the hole, how to line up to hit the ball down the fairway on the green, how to line your putts up. And then when you have someone else doing it for you, I think it just takes away from it. So that one for me just resonates really well because it kind of drives me a little bit nuts, And to be honest, I think they should almost take away the lines on the golf balls when people are putting. I think it takes a little bit of the skill out of the game, and that's what this is all about.
And, Nick, what are some of the other changes? You mentioned, hey, you like some of the others. That one just stuck out to you. What are some of the other ones you think are really good moves?
Well, I think, I'm not sure if it's going to be in professional golf, but I like the one for the amateurs where if they hit one out of bounds, you just drop one there and take stroke and distance. I think that's a really good rule change. The one where they're dropping from, I think it's knee high now, waist high, knee high. It really doesn't matter, to be honest. Just drop the ball wherever you think, and whatever lie you get is whatever you get. In a way, you could almost just say, well, have a preferred lie, because if you're taking a drop, well, obviously probably bad things have happened anyway, so why don't you give yourself a bit of respite. The one that does concern me is, on the greens where you can basically now pat down any mark other than, I think, other than any natural fault of the green. So, spike marks, pitch marks. But I think there's a bit of a grey area there where I think people will just start patting down everything. So that could slow down play again, which is a little bit annoying. Slow play's been one of my banes, I guess, throughout my career. I'm I guess, a fairly fast player, so playing with slow guys has always annoyed me a little bit in some sense. So I do like the change from 5 minutes searching for a ball to 3 minutes. That's going to speed play up again. So that's a bit of a favourite of mine. But the R&A and all the golfing bodies, they're just trying to make the game more enjoyable and more pleasurable for everyone. So hopefully the rules will be welcomed by everyone out there playing.
Nick, I want to talk for a brief moment about the Ryder Cup, and you posted a powerful video that was put together for the European team for their players to watch prior to the matches getting started, and your comment was spot on. It's hard not to want to run through a wall when you watch that video. It to me, it just seems like the European team, their drive to win is a little bigger than the U.S. teams. Their talent isn't any bigger, but in my opinion, their focus, sense of playing for each other, ability to make really big putts, just always seems to be better. What's your thought about why the Europeans have dominated, and your thoughts when you watch that video?
Yeah, I mean, the video was just, very special. I think the European Tour does a fantastic job social media-wise. They're always coming up with some very unique concepts, of how they go about promoting their tour. And this one, in regards to the Ryder Cup, I watched it and I had chills. I mean, it was like watching a drama movie of some sort. It was just kind of an epic little short clip, and it was just fascinating to watch. And I played a lot of years on the European Tour, so I know a lot of the guys over there. And it's interesting, Europe has definitely dominated the Ryder Cup, over the last 20 or 30 years or whatever it's been, especially obviously in Europe. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one being whenever they play the Ryder Cup in Europe, the best thing or the best decision that they always do is they play a golf course that they play a tour event on every year. I mean, the French Open was played at Le Golf National, obviously, every year. I've played that course. I know how difficult it can be, and you have to know the greens around there. I mean, going back previously, you had Glen Eagles, the K Club, Valderrama, Celtic Manor, you name it. All these golf courses, they play there year in, year out. So the Europeans know those golf courses. In the US, same thing doesn't happen. They play places like, Medina, and I can't even name the ones over here because they play them very rarely, and maybe it's for a major or something like that. So obviously, there's some financial discussion going on with where they play the courses over here, but in Europe, that's a very, very smart decision on their part. The other side of the coin there is also the Europeans, and why do they gel so well, and why do they seem to come together so much in the Ryder Cup is, I mean, I had a theory on this a while ago. I've played on both tours, and when you go to a European Tour event, you stay at the same hotel as all the other guys. You catch the bus with all the other guys to the course, and you eat in the same restaurant. So you get to know the guys really well. So there's a very tight bond amongst all the players, and it doesn't matter if you're Swedish, Spanish, English, Australian, whatever. Everyone, knows each other quite intimately, and they form some very, very deep friendships. Here in the United States, I've played over here a lot. The first thing they give you when you go to a golf tournament is they give you a brand new car for the week, and you can go and stay wherever you want. So you very rarely see the same guys that you're playing the tournament with off the golf course. So, the friendships level probably isn't quite there. I'm sure through junior golf and college golf, there is some, relationships that develop, like a Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and, Ricky Fowler and those sorts of guys where they do get along very well, but it doesn't run as deep as in Europe, and the passion, and you can see it, when they play. A lot of the guys are best friends out there. I mean, Molinari and Fleetwood, I mean, who would have thought those two guys would be best mates? But, you see when they play together, it was just an amazing combination that was going to be really hard to beat. The other thing, that really did not play in the favor of the Americans this year, and which was really disappointing when I, saw it and knew about the fact that it happened, was there was only one of the Americans that went across to play the French Open. And funnily enough, it was their best player, Justin Thomas. He played the French Open this year, and he earned the most points. No other American player played in that tournament. And, they say, yeah, we had our practice rounds and all that, but playing a practice round and playing competitive golf on a golf course is two completely different things. So I think they kind of screwed up a little bit there. And if I was the captain, I would have had everyone, if possible, playing that French Open that year. I mean, you're not going to get all the guys, but if you can get 2/3 of the guys to go over and play, it make a huge difference in the event, I think.
And Nick, you played in the President's Cup before. Is there something that the international team can learn from the European team to become more competitive in the President's Cup?
It's a tough one. As far as the gelling part of it, I think the international team, when I played, there was probably 4 Australians, 3 or 4 South Africans, Fijian, Argentinian, Korean, Japanese, those sorts of. So there's a bit of a mixed bag. And we kind of, the Aussies tend to play together. I ended up playing with Tim Clark, South African, but we got on really well. It's just not quite the same for some reason. It's hard to put a finger on what it is. And unfortunately, the international team keeps getting hammered in the President's Cup. But I think this year will be different. The next President's Cup will be different because it is back in Australia. And that's a completely different golf course to what the Americans are used to. I think the South Africans and the Australians, hopefully there's going to be a lot of them on the team because they will play really well down there because they know that style of course and they know those conditions. If I was captain, I'd pick mostly Aussies, to be honest, because that golf course is very unique. And if you've grown up playing it, you know how to play it, and it's a huge advantage. So, but overall, as far as the other President's Cups go, it's a tough one to put a finger on. The Americans just seem to gel really well there, and you put them against Europe, and it kind of goes the opposite way. It's very strange.
And Nick, like I mentioned in your intro, you beat Tiger Woods twice in the World Golf Match Play event in 2005, again in 2007. And Tiger struggles hard when he plays in the Ryder Cup outside of in the Sunday individual matches. But as you mentioned to me last time you joined me on the show, the key to beating Tiger is to get up on him early because he rarely comes back, from behind to win. So when you've been playing him and you've gotten that early lead on him, is there something that you recognize in his play from that point on? Does he become more fidgety? Does he start to press too hard? Does he lose focus a little bit? What do you see after you got up on Tiger that allowed you to continue on and win and not let him come from behind to beat you?
Oh, yeah, no, I only played him twice in the match play and was fortunate. Just, as you said it, you can't get behind the guy. If you do, it's not all over and dusted, but it's a really tough thing to come back from. And with Tiger, my theory was that he's won every major when he's either led going into the last round or being tied for the lead. So for me, I knew if I fell behind, it was kind of like the last round of a major to me, so to speak. So I just knew that I had to get ahead and trying to keep the foot down. So easier said than done, obviously. The first time I just played really well, and didn't matter who played against me, I was going to be tough to beat. The second time, he got off to a bad start. I was winning holes with pars quite regularly, so I was fortunate there. And then all of a sudden he found his game, through the back nine and came back, and we ended up going extra holes. But probably the thing I'm most proud of is I was never behind in 2 matches to Tiger Woods, so that's a pretty cool thing to say, I suppose. But as far as him in the Ryder Cup, and he's had some disappointing results, I guess, over the years. I think he put so much focus into the individual aspect that the team aspect maybe just doesn't quite gel with him. So it's a funny one. It's match play and anything can happen. You can win shooting 75 or you can lose shooting 65. So you just go out there, do your best, and the cards fall where they may.
Nick, you played with Justin Rose when he was very young in his career, so you've sort of seen him rise from being a kid who struggled just to make cuts to very recently being the number 1 player in the world. He's currently 2, but we saw him get to number 1 this year. Talk about watching him and the growth of his game over the years.
Oh, it's just been an incredible rise. I mean, I played with him when he was not 17, probably 18-year-old, back on the European tour, and he missed 21 cuts in a row, and you just knew that this kid had some ability and that he was going to really go a long way in the game, but it was just a matter of time. He was very, very young, obviously, at that point. And he's just a lovely guy. No two ways about it. He works hard. He's got a phenomenal talent, and it was just a matter of time, really. And obviously, since he's been working with Sean Foley, he's just done some amazing things swing-wise. So, he's got the complete game now, and it's a treat to see him go from strength to strength. And he was number 1 in the world briefly, obviously, but he'll be up there for a very long time. I mean, he's just such a quality player and a hell of a guy.
Nick, not long ago, you did a workshop with the guys out on the Washington State golf team. Curious to get your thoughts. What are some of the things that you want to share when you're meeting with young players like that at the college level?
It's interesting. You go to these college, I go to colleges every now and then and do these workshops, and you stand there on the range and you watch them hit balls and you think, wow, this is pretty impressive. They all could be playing on tour or at some sort of professional level. But what I try and show them is more that, the game isn't all about the golf swing, and it's not about, looking pretty. It's about getting the ball in the hole in the least amount of strokes possible. So, the art of the game really is thinking your way around the golf course. How do you play each hole strategically? How do you get the most out of every practice session? Short game, really, wedges, that's a huge thing in this game, I think. And just trying to give them a different perspective. One of my favorite things to do with college guys these days is to say, well, okay, we're going to play 9 holes where you don't use yardages. And they always look at me funny going, well, really? How will I know what club to use? And so, to begin with, it's like, well, you got to figure that out and feel it. And after a while, they, their sense of touch and their feel really improves. And the other thing that happens is they tend to be very indecisive to begin with because, they don't really know if they've got the right club in their hands. So after a while, what tends to happen is they have to commit to every shot and then they start hitting good shots again. So, and at the end of 9 holes, they really kind of say, well, I don't really need the yardages, do I? Because I'm pin high all the time. So it's a funny game that way. It's a bit old school, if you like.
Nick, just a couple more before we let you go. And you turned 47 back on October 18th. So first of all, happy belated birthday. Champions Tour seems like it's just over the horizon for you. Are we going to get to see you play out there in a few years?
Possibly, yeah. It's a tough tour to get on, of what I've heard. Q School was pretty hard. So, I'm keeping my game in shape. I'm heading down to Australia on Sunday, actually, to go to play 2 tournaments, New South Wales Open and the Australian Open. I don't really play anymore. I just I coach and mentor young players now. So, but I love to go down and play those events. So I'm keeping my game in decent shape. And, in a few years' time, I'll see where I'm at. And, maybe I can make hay while the sun shines out on the Champions Tour. Who knows? But I think getting on that tour is the hardest part, and once you're out there, you can have a bit of fun.
Nick, you've got a wonderful book titled Tour Mentality Inside the Mind of a Tour Pro, which our listeners can go online and find it on Amazon.com. But remind our readers about some of the things that they'll find in your book.
Well, it's more about, how to think your way around the golf course and how to shoot the lowest score possible. I think people get too caught up in technique these days. And what I've found is there's more than one way to get the ball in the hole. That's the biggest thing. And I think most people, when they try and improve their golf games, they think about their golf swing and making changes. But what usually happens there is they get worse before they get better. So if you can just make 2 better decisions on a golf course, that usually adds up to 3 or 4 strokes. So you can lower your scores really easily just by thinking better. And the book is all about how I did it over the years, some structure and some processes to really help the average golfer just think better out in the golf course and make it a bit more enjoyable and more fun. And then there's also some sections in there about how to practice and how to get the most out of every session. I get asked a lot from people about, well, how should I practice? So I dedicated about a third of the book to that because that's a really important part of the game, I think, is you want to go to bed at night better than when you woke up that morning. So how do you do that and how do you structure that? So there's quite a bit of detail on that. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to help people improve. And, sometimes the mind of a tour pro is a scary place. So hopefully I haven't scared too many people off with it.
Well, Nick, I can't thank you enough for your time tonight and coming back and sharing more of your stories and insights with us. Let our listeners know, how can they stay up to date with all the things that you're doing, whether it's online or it's on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I have a website, nickohern.com. But I'm not a real, publicity kind of guy, but you can get on there and you follow some stuff that I'm doing these days. As I said, I'll be down in Australia the next couple of weeks, having a bit of fun down there, but the best place to go is the website, nickohern.com, and you'll see it all on there.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for taking time out of your night to come back and be a part of the show. I hope we can get the opportunity to catch up with you again real soon. Always enjoy listening to your insights and sitting back and hearing some of the stories from your days being out on tour. Hope we get the opportunity to do it again soon.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, and good luck with everything. Cheers.
Cheers to you. Take care. Best of luck down in Australia.
Thank you. Bye.
That is Nick O'Hearn. The title of his book is Tour Mentality Inside the Mind of a Tour Pro. You can find it out on Amazon.com, and it's nickohern.com, and O'Hearn, the last part of O'Hearn is H-E-R-N, so nickohern.com. Great stuff. Look forward to having Nick back on the show.